rapid reaction to the new AP Top 25 poll that just was released here on Sunday, October 9th. I haven't seen it. Let's go through it together. It was just released. It actually was released before it was scheduled to be released. About 10 minutes before it was scheduled to be released. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the Buckeyes to be the number one team in the country. They're not going to be. We know this. And we know the reasons why. It's probably going to be Georgia. But Alabama should definitely be third ranked in the country. I suspect we should see Clemson number 4. I'm guessing that's what we're going to see. And that's what I would do. Clemson should be the 4th ranked team. Michigan 5. USC 6. Tennessee, are they going to be number 7 or is Oklahoma State? And who creeps into the top 25? The Fighting Illini has to be there. They have to be there. How about James Madison? Continues to be undefeated. Let's get to it right now again. Before we get into it, smash that like button if you like the content of this video. Subscribe to our ever-growing channel, please. Thank you so much. And share the video with your family and friends. Let's get right to it. Bam! Top 25. Here we go. Other teams receiving votes. San Jose, 1 vote. Maryland, 4 votes after a tough loss. A very tough loss. LSU, they get crushed, and they're still getting 4 votes. My Minnesota Golden Gophers are declining even more, even when they didn't play. They were idle this week, but they lost votes. The Golden Gophers with 5 votes, but they have a big game against Illinois next week in Champaign, Illinois. Washington State continues to play very tough. 10 votes. South Carolina, big upset victory over Kentucky. Wildcats, South Carolina, led by their quarterback. They get 12 votes. Florida State, FSU, 18 votes. Purdue, here comes the Boilermakers. I do dare say they are the favorites to win the West right now, but it's a crazy race for the Big Ten West. Tulane, very good season for Tulane, G5. Tulane with 42 votes. Florida, 56 votes. Notre Dame, close win against BYU. They're coming. They're 3-2, but they do have the loss with Marshall. 58 votes. Coastal Carolina, another beautiful season for Coastal Carolina. They had 61. BYU, who just lost to Notre Dame, still has 3 more votes than Notre Dame. Interesting. Baylor, 91 votes. North Carolina with a win against Miami of Florida in Miami with 98 votes. That offense is humming. And here's the top 25. James Madison defeats Arkansas State 42-20. They remain undefeated in the Sun Belt. Number 24, the Fighting Illini. Illinois is 24th ranked. They defeated Iowa 9-6. I do not see the logo for Illinois. I do not see the logo for Illinois nor for James Madison. Interesting. Kentucky. Kentucky remains in the top 24. They lose to South Carolina. Now, this is where the SEC bias comes in. This is where the SEC bias come in. See, if that's a Big Ten team, ACC team that loses to South Carolina, one of the lower teams in the conference, they drop out of the top 25. That's where that SEC bias, where I do not like it at all. And every basically college football fan outside of the SEC footprint, we scoff at this. Texas tied with Kentucky. Got the same amount of votes, 150. They crushed the Sooners 49-0. Holy smokes, does Brent Venables have some issues with that program? First-year head coach, you got to give him time, got to give him a few more years. But my goodness, the Sooners flat on their backs for the 2022 season. The Cincinnati Bearcats, Luke Fickell, win a tight one versus South Florida, 28-24. But what a program Luke Fickell has built in Cincinnati as they're going to be heading to the Big 12. That is going to be very interesting to see what Luke Fickell does with that program once they elevate themselves into the Big 12 Conference. The Utah Utes tumble. They tumble down 9 slots. They lose at UCLA 42-32. The Bruins, Chip Kelly. The UCLA Bruins are for real. We're going to get to UCLA here in a minute. Don't know how high they went. Are they number 12th? Are they number 11th in the country? We'll soon find out. Number 19, the Kansas Jayhawks. They lose to TCU 38-31, but they still get 330 votes, and they do not move down a spot. Now that's pretty interesting. They lose at home, again, to an undefeated TCU team. You think they would have moved down a spot, but they did not. 19th, Kansas Jayhawks getting some respect from the AP voters. Syracuse, 5-0. They're in the 18th spot, and they are going to play who? North Carolina State next week. And North Carolina State, I believe, is going to be without their starting quarterback, Devin Leary, as he got injured on Saturday. I don't think he's going to be available. We'll see. Syracuse, 18th in the country. The Kansas State moves up 3 spots as they defeat Iowa State 10-9. Iowa State goes down 10-9. Iowa State Cyclones and the Iowa Hawkeyes played a total of 120 minutes of football on Saturday with zero touchdowns. Remarkable. No offense in the whole state of Iowa. Kansas State moves up 3 spots to 17th. Mississippi State, the Pirate Mike Leach, they crush Arkansas Razorbacks, who were without KJ Jefferson. Mississippi State, a very experienced team. They have a lot of experience on that team, and you're starting to see it here. They got it going. Mississippi State moves up 7 spots. Now they're getting a lot of respect. I don't mind this. This is not SEC bias. In my opinion. They deserve that 16th spot. Kentucky still being in the top 25. Oh yeah, that's SEC bias. North Carolina State goes down 1 spot as they defeat Florida State Seminoles 19-17. Florida State's having a great year. This is a bounce back year from Mike Norvell. Florida State loses a tough one to North Carolina State, but I believe the Wolfpack did lose their starting quarterback for next week's important game in the ACC against the Syracuse Orangemen. Wake Forest Deacons, they defeated Army 45-10. TCU moves up 4 spots. They went on the road to Kansas 38-31. I thought maybe TCU would be ranked a little higher than 13th. Very interesting. Oregon, 12th ranked, defeated Arizona 49-22. We've been talking about this for the last few weeks. You can see that Dillingham's offense has got their feet under them, and now the Ducks are rolling. With Utah seeming to slide down a bit, this has become a USC, UCLA, Oregon. Who's going to win the Pac-12 championship? Very interesting race, but here comes the Oregon Ducks. UCLA, they did not get to the top 10. UCLA defeats Utah 42-32. They move up 7 spots. That quarterback, wow. We're talking Heisman Trophy candidate. Chip Kelly, the Bruins, they've got it going. Now for the top 10 in the country, Penn State. We talked about how they defeated Northwestern 17-7 bye week. And now next week, they just were on a bye. Next week, they play Michigan, Penn State, Michigan. And then the following the Lions play my Golden Gophers. So Penn State, 2 big games coming up. Ole Miss, they defeat Vanderbilt 52-28. They had some problems early on, but Ole Miss, that great running game that Lane Kiffin's got going. They get over 1,000 votes, number 9 in the country. Oklahoma State, they did drop, so Tennessee's probably at 7. Oklahoma State, 18th in the country, defeat Texas Tech in a great game, 41-31. That Oklahoma State has stapled themselves the favorites to get into that Big 12 championship game and to win that Big 12 championship game. Oklahoma State, TCU, both still undefeated in the very competitive Big 12. Now we go to the 7th team, and I think it's going to be Tennessee. No, it's not. No, it's not. USC drops the spot after defeating the very competitive Washington State Cougars 30-14. My goodness, they did move USC down a spot. That means that Tennessee's got to be number 6. Close in the votes, but Tennessee, they wallop LSU Tigers 40-13 in Death Valley, in LSU. Brian Kelly goes down to defeat 40-13 Tennessee. Alabama next week. Tennessee, Alabama, and I've got Tennessee in everything in that game. I'm going to be taking Tennessee Volunteers. They did move, the voters did move them up ahead, USC. Number 5, Michigan, they finally dropped the spot, and well, they should have. They defeated Indiana 31-10, but their schedule has not matched up to, I suspect, yes, Clemson, number 4. Clemson deserved this spot. Clemson deserves. I've been against Clemson all year long, but they've proven me wrong. DJ Uiagalelei has been a very good quarterback. Uiagalelei has decided, he's developed. He has developed under Dabo and the new offensive coordinator. Clemson deserves, of course, that dominating defense. Michigan has slid a little bit. Clemson number 4, Michigan number 5. I have no problems with that. Number 3, I better not see Ohio State here. Number 3, Alabama drops 2 spots. They win that game against Texas A&M 24-20. Alabama was missing their starting quarterback, Bryce Young. They had Milroe in there, and he is not ready for prime time. Not yet. Got a lot of great talent, but he is not ready for prime time. Alabama, a bunch of turnovers, but they hung on to beat Texas A&M. I do not understand Texas A&M's last play of the game. You've got to throw that ball in the end zone. Haynes King's ball. The receiver was covered, but you've got to throw it. That receiver's not going to turn and get into the end zone, even if he does catch the ball. Terrible offensive play by Texas A&M. Doesn't give themselves a chance to upset Alabama. Alabama, 3rd in the country. I suspect we'll see the Buckeyes here. Yes, we do. Ohio State Buckeyes, now the number 2 team in the land. I believe they should be number 1. They have injuries. Buckeyes have injuries. But, man, they look great. That offense is fantastic, and the defense under Knowles is so much better than they were last year. Of course, last year, they had a bunch of freshman defensive linemen, and they're so much better this year. They're grown up. The Buckeyes should be the number 1 team in the country, but they're not. They're number 2. The voters are playing do-si-do with Alabama and Georgia, and there it is, Georgia, the number 1 team in the country. They defeat Auburn 42-10. 42-10, the defending champions, Georgia Bulldogs, after just barely beating Missouri last week, not having a good game against Kent State the week before. Somehow, some way, they jumped. They're number 1 and not the Ohio State Buckeyes. Do not agree with that at all. I do not agree with the AP voters. Other than that, Ohio State should be number 1. I do agree with Clemson going over the top on Michigan. Tennessee, I do agree with that. I'm surprised they did that. But Tennessee, the number 6 team in the country, I've got no problem with that. Top 10 looks solid. I'd have TCU probably up to number 11. Sorry, UCLA and Oregon. Again, UCLA's had a fantastic season. Oregon's coming on strong. But I would take TCU in a win over previously undefeated Kansas on the road. I leapfrog them to number 11. Just my opinion. Again, put your comments down in the comment section below the video. Everything looks pretty good to me, except for Kentucky should not be in the top 25. Again, I probably have North Carolina sliding in there behind James Madison. Other than that, it looks pretty good. Those are your top 25 AP poll week 7. Week 7. Again, smash the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your family and friends. Put down the comments if what you agree or disagree with the AP top 25. Again, next week. Tennessee Volunteers, Alabama Crimson Tide. And of course, I'm going to wait till this Tuesday to make my predictions, but I'll give you a sneak preview. Tennessee Volunteers are going to take it. They're going to defeat Alabama. And I'm going to take Tennessee in my grade 8 picks as many times as I can. I'm going to find as many plays as I can. I know Bryce Young will probably be back next week. But still, the Volunteers are going to beat Alabama. The Buckeyes eventually are going to get to that number 1 spot. I think they will. But again, until next time, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, you all take care of each other. Thank you so very much.